Greetings of solidarity and sisterhood to the organizers, including the Ministry of Women and Child Protection, Aman Indonesia, members of civil society, government, and media. Selamat siang. I'm Debbie Stothard, coordinator of ASEAN Burma, and a member of the Asia-Pacific Partnership for Atrocity Prevention Gender Working Group. Thank you for having me at this important event. Recently, during the week of 19th June, Myanmar's illegal junta arrested more than 130 women all around the country because they were holding flowers in their hands or wearing flowers in their hair. They were suspected of joining the flower strike to celebrate Aung San Suu Kyi's birthday. On 1st February 2021, the junta began a coup to stop elected members of parliament from forming government. Since then, women have become more prominent as leaders and also much more vulnerable to military attacks, arbitrary detention, sexual violence, torture, and displacement. Between 1st February 2021 and 31 May 2023, there were at least 26,722 armed clashes and attacks affecting civilians. Military violence forced more than 1.5 million people, 3% of the population, to flee their homes. Nationwide resistance made it impossible for the criminal junta to gain territorial control of the country or for their soldiers to move around safely. In response, the regime has dramatically increased the number of airstrikes. During 1st January to 11 June this year, there have been more than 2 airstrikes every day in Myanmar. The number of civilians killed in airstrikes in Myanmar is double that of Ukraine. The junta is deliberately attacking civilians in towns, villages, IDP and refugee camps, increasing the vulnerability of women and girls who lack access to safety, water, food, and health services. On 14th May, Cyclone Mocha hit Western Myanmar. 3.2 million people were affected in Rakhine and Chin states and Sagaing and Magwe regions. Rohingya people confined in camps in Rakhine were the worst hit. On 8 June, the junta officially banned transportation for 8 groups operating in the area to stop them from delivering aid. This intense disaster and the blocks on aid are starving people and increasing mental stress and suicide attempts amongst women and girls. Women are leaders in the civil disobedience movement, the CDM, which led peaceful protests around the country. Women educators and health workers have been the backbone of the CDM, providing education and health care away from junta control. As a result, security forces target women for arrest at detention centers, which are notorious for using sexual violence and abuse as part of interrogation procedure. The Assistance Association for Political Prisoners reported that 4,605 women human rights defenders have been detained and 524 were killed. 859 women were unjustly sentenced to long prison terms. Clearly, all these actions are a serious violation of the UN Security Council resolutions on women, peace and security, the ASEAN Regional Plan of Action on Women, Peace and Security, ASEAN's 5-point consensus, and basic human rights and human decency. This is why we need your help to persuade Indonesia as a responsible member of the international community and as the chair of ASEAN to ensure that ASEAN removes junta representation from its bodies such as AICHA and ACMW, and works with frontline CSOs even though these CSOs might not be registered. Addresses the needs of displaced people and refugees, and establish refugee protection, and referral mechanisms such as legal aid, medical care, and psychosocial support. Supports rehabilitation, reparation, and survivor-centered transitional justice, including the accountability of security forces, state officials, and the judiciary. In regard to ASEAN's 5-point consensus, ASEAN must acknowledge the junta's flagrant violation of the 5-point consensus and ensure any future agreements incorporate time-bound and measurable commitments to release arbitrarily detained women and hold conflict-related sexual violence perpetrators accountable. ASEAN must remove representation of the illegal junta from the AHA Center and work with the elected National Unity Government, National Unity Consultative Council, ethnic resistance organizations, and of course women's organizations to mainstream gender in humanitarian response. Don't forget Myanmar. Don't forget the women and children of Myanmar. Terima kasih.